But if you really want to get to the core, it's modern culture and living is our greatest disease. And we're growing up in it. The kids are seeing us doing things all day long. We have schedules all day long, and the kids think that this is normal. So our culture has shifted, and we have to shift back. We have to shift down that nervous system, get connected to our tribe and nature. And that's how the people in the blue zones do it.
Welcome to Suburban Warrior, the podcast that will impact, inspire, and empower you to transform your mindset and become the badass warrior that you are. I'm your host and fellow warrior, Chrissy Pfeiffer, former clinician and corporate marketing exec turned multi-passionate entrepreneur, performance and life coach, and mom to 4 not-so-little warriors. Each week, I will bring you honest conversations with inspiring guests to share their stories of resilience, optimism, success, and simple yet effective strategies so that you transform your thoughts and change your behavior to get the results you want in your life. You will be empowered to take action, warrior up, and believe in you. Let's do this. What's up, warriors? Welcome back to another episode of the Suburban Warrior Podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Pfeiffer, and I am back this week with another amazing warrior here to share her story and expertise with us. But before I introduce my guest this week, I want to remind you that we have some amazing free resources available to you on the suburbanwarriorpodcast.com. You can go there and, we've recently launched our free menopause roadmap from pause to power. And I would love for you guys to check it out. It is a free resource. It has all the information that I wish I knew when I started going through perimenopause. It's there for you. So please check that out. You can sign up to receive that and download it for free at suburbanwarriorpodcast.com. And we also have the Pause Like a Warrior newsletter that comes out each week, and you can sign up for that as well. So let's get right into this week's guest. I am so excited to introduce Dr. Sangeeta Pati, a pioneer in regenerative health, and how she is rethinking wellness by empowering individuals to harness the healing power within. Inspired by her global work in maternal health and personal healing journey, Dr. Pati developed a comprehensive 5-point model system focused on 5 key dimensions of health: optimizing hormones, nutrition, detoxification, mind-heart balance, and physical body. Her approach, drawing on the wisdom of Blue Zone health habits, has helped thousands of patients reverse chronic conditions and reclaim wellness. A passionate educator, she has trained over 5,000 healthcare professionals and spoken at more than 100 leading medical conferences. Dr. Pati is dedicated to empowering both patients and practitioners with effective natural tools to activate the body's innate ability to heal. Welcome to the Suburban Warrior Podcast, Dr. Pati.
Thank you. Thank you, Chrissy. I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. Well, I am thrilled to have you on because I'm always so interested in hearing more about our own body's natural, innate way of healing that we, I think have come so far away from in our world of Western medicine and, world of technology and you name it. I think, there's so many things in our modern world that has gotten us away from just truly listening to our intuitive selves and finding a way to heal ourselves naturally. So I'm really excited to get into the conversation. But first, tell my audience a little bit more about you and about your healing journey.
Okay, well, interestingly, of course, as everyone, where we are born and so on does have some impact. So I was born in the United States and educated in US, in Europe, and finally in India. And I, by my nature, am really a singer, dancer, artist, competitive athlete. And I was competing in the nationals in the 200-meter sprint in India when I received a cholera vaccine to participate. And in that, I acquired encephalopathic hepatitis and went into a coma that kept me in a wheelchair for almost 12 months. So my turn towards medicine happened in that stance because I was headed towards the arts, right?
Yeah.
Came back to the
Wow.
United States. I pursued a, traditional training. I went through University of Maryland for medical school and then Georgetown University for obstetrics and gynecology and set up a practice in DC,
Okay.
like a good little girl. But,
Yes,
but
that sounds like a very good little girl path.
yes. But then what happened is I was like, there's like more to this than this pharmacy and surgery. And I ended up joining the Safe Motherhood Project, which was a nonprofit. I moved to New York. I was a single mother, took my daughter, took my dog and my nanny. And I was like, we're going to New York and we're doing something different. So this effort is to lower maternal mortality around the world. So I got the benefit of traveling through Latin America, Africa, Nepal, India, Bangladesh by foot and interacting with traditional birth attendants in the middle of nowhere and realizing they don't use pharmacy and surgery and they get good results. They have confidence in themselves and all of the hand-down training they got from their ancestors, and the people have confidence in that path. And I realized when I came back that I couldn't practice the other way. So pharmacy and surgery was part of the toolbox, but there was a wide toolbox of options that really utilized the gifts that we were all born with. And I wanted to know more about that. So in 2003, I shifted completely. I let go of a good job as an OBGYN in private practice and started to search and really searched and even went to a psychic and all that because I really didn't know how I was going to get trained. But I was lucky enough to enter the American College of Anti-Aging Medicine and start to learn about integrative approaches and other approaches. I opened up a medical center called Sejun Institute, and I had the great benefit of interacting with 50 integrative practitioners, doctors of Oriental medicine, energy medicine, acupuncture, chiropractic, DOs, nurses, everybody, anybody who is in that healing space actively. And through this process, I realized that what we call natural functional medicine is very complicated. There's lots of tests, there's lots of supplements, there's lots of treatments, and it's not even accessible to everybody because it's so complicated and so expensive. So I developed the 5-point model system, ended up training a lot of physicians, and then ended up realizing that was not accessible to the masses because of the cost. And most of the gifts were really free. So with that, I turned my attention to empowering people to be in the driver's seat for their own health with all the simple tools that exist without the use of a doctor. Not that doctors can't be helpful, but people have to really own their own power in the health journey, which we've sort of given away in our society from the beginning. It's like you have a problem, go to the doctor. What does the doctor say? The doctor is glorified. And at the end of the day, we each are healers and we're born with that healing capacity. And my passion is to teach people and inspire them with hope to tap into their own intuition.
Yeah. Wow. I really, really love that. I want to go back to what you were saying about how, you went to medical school, you did residency, you were at Georgetown, you opened your own practice. You had all of this success as a physician and went through a lot of training. Then to then have this experience throughout all these other countries and see what was happening. Was that really difficult for you to make that decision, to really kind of walk away, in a sense, walk away from all of your training and everything that you were taught, and listen intuitively to what you knew to be true? How hard was that for you?
For me, it wasn't hard. My family thought I was crazy. And my friends,
Yeah.
they're all like, "What are you doing?" But what happens is when your heart is singing something in it, and I didn't actually realize I was walking away from it. I thought I was just going to add to the toolbox of options.
Okay.
That's actually where I started to add to the toolbox of options. But it wasn't hard for me. In my life, I've done that many times. I feel that some of the most important things that we ever do is to let go of the past, pause, and go
Yeah.
to all the things that will feed our future passion and heart. And I even think of menopause that way, that we're
Yeah.
pausing. Okay, what do I want to carry forward with me? Because the person I am today is not the person I was yesterday. The circumstances are different. I don't have to carry everything from yesterday to today. And just that's something I've lived that way, and I find it to be a powerful way for me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I do think that perimenopause, menopause, this time of midlife for a lot of women is a period of time to take a pause while obviously dealing with so many symptoms, physical, emotional, mental. I think it is sort of like intuitively a time that we should take to pause and think about what is it that I want the next phase of my life to look
Yes.
like, right? Yeah, and so I love that you mentioned that. So, okay, so tell us a little bit more then about the 5 point model, and how it really helps to shift people back into looking at their own health for themselves versus looking outside of themselves.
Yes. So obviously as an OBGYN, when I started this journey, I was faced with Suzanne Summers' book in 2002, The Sexy
Yeah.
Years, and everybody was coming through my regular practice asking about it, and we had 5 doctors in practice in Washington, D.C., and everybody was wondering why Suzanne Summers was teaching hormones.
Yeah.
But when women want something, they get it. So if you don't know how to do bioidentical hormones, they just leave the practice. And so I started reading the book. And when I entered the integrative space, my entry was in the area of hormones because it made a lot of sense. But I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into because I always thought that when we talk about hormones, we're talking about sex hormones like ovarian and testicular hormones. We're talking about estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. But it turns out that that is literally the tip of the iceberg
Yeah.
because what lies underneath is actually what controls the ovarian hormones. And by that, if you can imagine like a pyramid,
Yeah.
and the pyramid has 3 layers, you have adrenals at the bottom, thyroid in the middle, and sex hormones at the top. And if the adrenal thyroid is off, like it usually is in our very balanced, unbalanced modern lives, the sex hormones obviously start to change much, much earlier than they normally would. And so I did the hormone part and mastered that, and then realized that every single hormone needs specific nutrients. And I started measuring nutrients. I measured nutrients in thousands of people through blood tests and learned that there's a certain amount, like 25 to 50 of zinc, or 200 to 400 of selenium, or 500 to 1,000 of iodine, that actually activates the adrenal, the thyroid, the progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, because every hormone receptor needs certain cofactors in the form of nutrients. So I
Right.
added nutrients. So hormones, nutrients had a really good result. The only thing with the nutrients was that everybody was taking 5 bottles of nutrients. And I realized that if I take the junk out, because I'm a simplifier, I like the
Right.
ripple that creates, like the drop that creates the ripple, instead of,
Yeah.
you go to a functional medicine doctor and you end up with a sack of expensive supplements. And I'm not able to even swallow more than 4 pills a day. So they better be really good.
Yeah.
um, so I was searching, and finally realized if I just take the junk out, the preservatives, the dyes, the fillers, and the mag stearate, I could fit everything in one capsule. And that's how I made the Essentials Multi, to activate everything. So that was the launch of also a supplement line that was specific to hormones without junk in it.
Yeah.
So hormones and nutrients were part of it. Then I realized detoxification was critical. and at least starting to detoxify with 100 ounces of water with pink salt and lemon. For me, that's the most powerful detoxifier, other than all the other things people do, but just start there. The fourth
I
area
love that.
was oxygenation of the body, and it's more than just consciously oxygenating our cells, which are 68% elemental oxygen. It also has to do with the fact that that conscious breathing reconnects the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system and allows repair of DNA and repair of our immune system, our metabolism, and our adrenals. So body oxygenation became the fourth one. And then the fifth one is heart, mind, stress, or joyful purpose. So basically, that's the speed of the engine. How many things we commit to from here and where our emotions sit is, if you will, what drives the speed of the engine that burns out our hormones and nutrients. So in modern society, what we find is the speed of the engine, the body and the mind stressors are burning through our cortisol, our adrenals, our hormones, our nutrients. And sometimes I would say the best answer for all of us is just to take a restock of our life and what we commit to, and saying no to a bunch of things that don't serve us anymore. And that balances the hormones. So I've actually seen people who do that, and then they need less supplementation and less hormonal support. So that's the 5-point model. And what we found with those 5 areas is if you optimize them to the 75th percentile instead of just the normal range, because normal ranges are 10th to 90th percentile. It's kind of ridiculous, right? That you could have a progesterone of 0 and 30 and they're still the same thing, right? So you want to be optimal. And if you optimize each one of those 5 areas, what we found is it turns on innate self-healing, and it basically reverses just about anything: diabetes, hypertension, just anything.
Yeah. So I want to touch real quick on what you just brought up about normal ranges, because I don't think a lot of people that aren't in medicine, or that go to their, even people in medicine, they go to their doctor and they get the lab slip and they go and get their labs, and they get it in their portal and everything comes up, it's within normal range. And I know I didn't even realize until maybe a couple of years ago that like those normal ranges, they're just, from what I have heard, they're just the normal ranges for what that lab is seeing, right? Or from what, we as Western medicine have said, okay, this is a normal range. But they're kind of arbitrary in a way. And the normal ranges are also dictated by pharma as well, right? We know that. Because they want, if you're out of normal range, then here, put us on this medication. So talk to us a little bit about what you know about normal ranges and what you mean by optimal, because I think those are very different.
Yes, and that's a really important concept. Thank you for asking that question. So our normal ranges in the lab are set between what's normal in the general population, between the 10th percentile and the 90th percentile. So
which is a huge range.
A normal range for ferritin, which is iron, is from 20 to 230. So if you're 21, you're normal. And if you're 230, you're still in the normal range. And they were set that way because they were set to catch disease. So if you're on this side of that, you have a disease and you need a medicine. And if you're on this side of that, you have a disease and you need a medicine. But what we know is that, for example, if the air in your tire was low, you're not going to wait for it to get to the 10th percentile before looking at it and filling it. So we know that there's certain numbers that are optimal for protection of brain, bone, heart, for optimal energy, sleep, mood, pain, muscle, on and on. So for example, you always want to be above the 75th percentile. So let's take vitamin D. 30 to 100 is normal range. But if you get from 30 to 70, you cut strokes, heart attacks, and cancers down by about 50%, and you improve metabolism, immunity, and thyroid function by about 50%. So it's a very powerful concept. And what we see a lot, because, and this goes back to that beautiful pyramid I was telling you about with the
Yeah.
adrenals, the thyroid. And so in modern society, we're seeing in 2003, less than 5% of people had adrenal thyroid dysfunction. In 2025, 90% of people have this kind of dysfunction. And they're
Yeah.
coming in reporting lower energy, lower mental clarity, lower memory, focus, concentration, sometimes depression and lower mood, sometimes unexplained weight gain, sometimes drier hair, drier skin, colder hands, colder feet, loss of hair, brittle nails, constipation, LDL elevation, all kinds of symptoms that are
Yeah.
thyroid adrenal related. And they are told that they are in the normal range. And
Right.
even when they're corrected, they're just corrected to the normal range. And
Right.
that is not protective. And so you have a whole nation of people, and I sort of literally mean that, walking around with this
Yeah.
constellation of symptoms, being told that they're normal, being provided with band-aids. Like if I'm having pain, let's take some Advil. If I'm having weird periods, let me get on the oral contraceptive tablet or do a hysterectomy. If I'm having, mood problems, let's put you on a Prozac. And it becomes really frustrating for people because, first of all, we're being told we're normal when there's nothing normal about that. And in many
Right.
cultures, they don't even experience those things. But the second part of it is we're looking for natural root cause type solutions and being given band-aids. And when you
Right.
go to Dr. Google to look for those root cause solutions, you're hit with a lot of chaos and a lot of expense also. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that the optimal versus normal, like we need to insist on people interpreting our labs based upon the optimal range. And we need to get
Yeah.
knowledgeable, like
Yes.
75th percentile. So if DHEA is normal between 45 and 245, you're going to want to aim for above 200.
Yeah.
Like it's a general principle. And I think it empowers people to know that 75th percentile number.
Absolutely. I love that. And I love thinking about it as more as optimizing health as far as just being quote unquote normal. But I was going to ask you, what do you attribute that huge rise in, chronic illness, autoimmunity, all the illnesses that we're all facing now, the huge rise that you were talking about earlier? What do you attribute that to?
That, from what I've seen, is related to the divide and imbalances that are coming in all those 5 areas we talked about:
Yeah.
hormones,
Okay.
nutrition, detox, mind, and body. But there is a core one cause that's creating it. You can delve into all of them, but the one that's really creating the depletion, and I'm talking about depletion in our mind, our body, and our spirit, like we as a human race are depleted, right?
Yeah.
It's almost happening a near death experience sometimes we think about it because the
Yeah.
way that we see things happening. And the single thing that I have found to make the biggest difference is for people to slow down that nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system commitments, that fight or flight, slow it down, actively saying no to things, right?
Yeah.
Instead of all the opportunities being a yes, and to reconnect to tribe and nature. That is
Yeah.
where I think the biggest power is. Yeah, we can talk about the toxins in the air and the quality of the soil being poor and all this kind of stuff. But if
Right.
you really want to get to the core, it's modern culture and living is our greatest disease.
Yeah.
And we're growing up in it. The kids are seeing us doing things all day long. We have
Yeah.
schedules all day long, and the kids think that this is normal. So our culture has shifted, and we have to shift back. We have to shift
Yeah.
down that nervous system, get connected to our tribe and nature. And that's how the people in the blue zones do it.
Yeah. No, I love that was your answer because, when you think back, like even just the generation to like my grandparents, it was my grandparents had a farm and, in New Jersey, it wasn't like we weren't like in the Midwest or anything. They had a farm in New Jersey and it was a small farm, but like they lived in community. They lived around all of their brothers and sisters and who also owned farms. And, they ate their meals from the farm. And, it was just a very simple way of living. Nobody was running to the office, flying here, flying there, doing this, or just sitting in meetings behind screens all day. And I do think that connection, that human connection with your tribe, with community, with slowing down, with walking in nature, or just being in nature and connecting to what we are really ultimately meant to be connecting with, which is each other and nature. I think that's huge. And it does really affect our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, which operates all of it. Talking about the pyramid, the nervous system is everything. So
Right.
I love that was your answer. So that's really interesting. So thank you for that, because I thought maybe it was going to be diet or toxins or, eat organic. But it really does come down to what are we doing every single day to connect? It's love, right? It's
It's
love and
love.
caring for others.
It's
It's
love.
love.
It's love for ourselves.
Yeah.
Love for ourselves, to be easy on ourselves, and love for others. And it's
Yeah.
love. It's the frequency of love that we as a
Yes.
human race are very gifted and blessed to actually have that capacity.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
won't talk about aliens right now, but like
If you want to, that's great. I mean, bring it.
well, I mean, like
We talk about everything on this podcast,
yeah, we're
so we're
known to
open.
have, we're known to have something that is very special in this universe,
Yes.
and among all of the species that live in the universe, and that happens to be that core of love that we're capable of.
Yes.
And when I say we're going through a near death experience, it's a near death experience. It's not a death experience. It will
Right.
take us 3 generations to turn this. And it's people like yourself getting the word out there. It's people,
Yeah.
there's a lot of force behind this right now. And
Yeah.
the earth has already shifted. So
Yeah.
we're being forced to catch up because of the chaos. So I really look at the chaos as a blessing. I say thank you for the chaos, because the chaos is what's like, oh, you know what? We have to do something different, or we have to let's motivate, let's connect, let's get naked,
Yeah.
get in the sun, ground ourselves to the
Yeah.
earth. Let's bless our water and drink it and live in joyful purpose. This is how humans
Yeah.
were meant to live, and we will be there. That's where we're headed, and I know
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. There's a shift. There's a shift occurring for sure. And we have to get the message out because loneliness is becoming an epidemic. And, we can't sustain in this manner. We just can't. So I appreciate that. Okay. So let's get back to, so if someone that's listening is experiencing, chronic symptoms or has just been diagnosed with a chronic illness, what do you think their options are besides just taking X prescription drug, right? That they're being told that might, like you said, put a band-aid on the symptoms.
Yeah, I think it depends upon the orientation. If someone is really believing in their ability to heal themselves and is looking for root cause approaches, then they start looking at the 5 areas. And the first place you start, and I got this because when I completely burnt out, which was a blessing, every single blessing that I've learned from has been something that's almost killed me. And I hit adrenal burnout, teaching physicians and doing all this stuff, just saying yes to everything. And I collapsed for 4 months. I came to Costa Rica and I was looking. Costa Rica is one of the blue zones. I actually live in Nicoya, which is one area where
Oh, what?
people are, centenarians, fit, productive, climbing without chronic diseases and doctors. And I started to realize, no, it's not the diet. It's not that they exercise. It's because they're connected to the 5 elements of nature and
Yeah.
each other with joyful purpose. So when somebody has a chronic disease, the first way to take your power back is to connect back to the 5 elements of nature. So that's even more powerful than the 5-point model. I superimpose it on it, which is get in the sun. Get in the rising sun and correct the cortisol awakening response. Without it, you'll be dragging all day because we're usually exposed to artificial light in the morning. Get your feet in the earth and unclot your blood and correct the inflammation, which you can see imagery on this. In 30 minutes of grounding, your body looks different. Get the water and bless it. Bless it with intention, restructure it for your highest purpose and the highest version of yourself. And do that with your food and do that with your supplements. That's what we do with our supplements. We bless those supplements every single batch.
Yeah.
Start to oxygenate deeply. And most importantly, reach out, connect to your tribe, get in nature, and make sure that what you pursue is your joyful purpose. Say no to everything else. Those things are more powerful in reversing chronic disease, cancers, diabetes, hypertension, than anything else. And yes, if you need to have your nutrition and hormones looked at, get someone to hold your hand who can empower you. Not a system where you have to keep going to the doctor to get your hormones, or you have to keep going to the doctor to get this supplement thing. You want someone who's going to teach you the tools so that you can do it yourself. If I had a chronic disease, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I love, and what's amazing about that is that everything's, free. Right?
All of it is free.
Like you were talking about, I mean, it's amazing, right? Like you were talking earlier about functional medicine, and it's not available to everyone. And, most functional medicine practices are cash pay, and it's not inexpensive. But yet every single strategy that you just talked about is completely free. So anybody can wake up, go out and get the sunlight in their eyes in the morning, have their feet on the ground and walk through the grass, drink and bless lots of water to hydrate, taking deep breaths to oxygenate your cells. I mean, these are all free and available to us every single day.
Yeah. And if you look, there's the science behind each thing I said. There's thousands of studies supporting it. It's just, it doesn't feed anybody monetarily, so we don't talk about it. But the right prescription is get into nature, walk with the trees for 30 minutes, get the phytocyanides, which is the immune boosters that they get your feet into it's exactly what we talked about. For me, that's the reason why I stopped teaching physicians also, because I went to start teaching people how to take their power back. I believe this phase of my life is only to leave something better behind and to serve. And something better behind is not something that you have to pay green money for, because that's a control mechanism. Something better behind is something that you already have within you and you're willing to claim, right?
Yeah.
And willing to claim at any age, even the children. Like my granddaughter is 6 years old, and I'm already watching her using Reiki and energy healing. And I'm telling her that she has that power. Otherwise, she wouldn't maybe not know it,
Right. Sometimes you need that person to encourage you and tell you that the power within you, just how powerful it is, right? Yeah. And to trust it. You need, someone to remind you of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, you are living in one of the blue zones.
Yes, I live in
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, yes.
Yeah, okay, so that's amazing. I was just reading about Nicoya, Costa Rica as a blue zone because I was learning about all of the blue zones. So tell us a little bit what that's like for you.
So when I realized that the real powerful gifts were free and accessible to all, and of course it was more confirmation that the path I originally pursued was a purchased path, right? It was feeding an agenda. And when I realized that, I wanted to deliver the message. And for me to authentically deliver that message, I literally left my practice. I still see patients by telemedicine, but I'm not like every day, all day. And I just keep shooting content. I learned how to use social media, which my daughter told me if I don't do it, I'll be in the forest talking to the trees and nobody will hear me. Of course, I also know that you can sit on your toilet seat and send out a message and it goes everywhere anyway because our frequency is so large. But I am definitely able to be more authentic because I am surrounded by people who are in a better nervous system space, which is everything because it's contagious. If you're around a lot of people that are doing a lot of things, you're going to be hit by it and you can't send the right message out. So I have become a little isolated. Like today, I happen to have 3 dogs that are stray that have landed in my house over the last few days. And that keeps happening to me like every other week. I have new animals here. But it's been really a game changer for me. And I feel that you can do this anywhere. It's not just about get up and move to Costa Rica. I did that because I was connected to Costa Rica and my daughter went to school here. So it was a different story. But I feel like any one of us can start to go more inwards and really start to connect to ourselves, no matter where we are, if we give ourselves the time to do it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, but living here has been cool. I'm growing my stuff, learning how to be self-sustaining. I'm using solar. My water is in a well. I feel less dependent on the government.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, like I said, I've been reading about the blue zones just because of the health practices and healthy living. And like you said, the centenarians who, they're just naturally living longer. And I think it's really just so fascinating. I also think it's so fascinating of how far we've come from that. Mm-hmm. But that's how we were. I mean, it's really been the last 75 years in our country where things have radically changed, 50 to 75 years or so. So it's not like we've come we're that far from it. It's just, our modern world is just taken over and we just start to believe everything that we're told. Yeah. And, listen, I was in traditional medicine just like you were. I was in pharma. You believe everything. And then when you start to really peel back the onion and realize wait a second.
Yes.
Why? Why is this, not that it's all bad or anything, but it's just about using that in conjunction with being able to sort of slow down, still honor our roots, honor our intuition, tap into our faith and our spirituality, tap in with nature. It's really hard to do that in modern world that we live in. I mean, it really is.
We're definitely, as a human race, I feel the survival and thriving of the human race is going to depend upon community, tribe, nature, and really recognizing how much power we have as humans. It's going to come from us. And that movement is already happening. So I feel very lucky to be here during this time in human transformation. I really do.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. You mentioned your faith. Like for me, being in the jungle with animals, it's easier for me to connect to source. It's easier for me to download information. I find the method of verbal learning, ear learning, and reading books to be very primitive. I have always gone with downloads and energetic learning. It's because it's activating what's intuitive within us. We all have that knowledge.
We do.
So it just allows me to tap in and deliver better to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so you mentioned that you can only swallow 4 pills a day. So I want to know, what are those 4 pills that you are taking a day? No, I want to know, in all honesty, you know a lot about supplements, regenerative medicine. Tell us, what are some of your top supplements that are your go-tos?
I'll tell you about 3 of them. And each one had a story, because I'm a doctor. Why would I even make supplements?
Right.
But necessity is always the mother of invention. And when I found after thousands of tests that everybody needed 25 to 50 of zinc and 200 to 5, and people were in 5 bottles with junk in them, I condensed to a multi called Essentials Multi and opened up a company called MD Prescriptives, because no other supplement company wanted to make it without the junk, because the flow agents speed up the manufacturing. And so it lowers the cost of making it. So that was the first one, because I don't want to take 5 capsules, and none of my patients do either. So Essentials Multi ended up being all 5 things with the active B vitamins in one. The second one, which I think is even more important than the first one, but was developed second, is when I found out the power of magnesium in slowing down the nervous system and stopping the burn of the hormones and the nutrients. And I was searching and trying every form and finally found a form called acetyltaurinate in Belgium. And we were the first ones to bring that into the country because that is a special form that immediately penetrates the nervous system and the brain. So I use that one. And I would say if anybody was going to take only one supplement, take that. Take a magnesium that allows you not to have to take other things because it's slowing down the burn, the unnecessary burn, right? That's going on anyway, right?
Yeah.
So that one I mixed glycinate and oxide for the intestines and acetyltaurinate. That's magnesium MD. And then the third one, which became more and more popular after I hit my burnout. When I got burnt out, I went to Jacob Teitelbaum's Adrenal Fatigue book and a couple of other books, and I got on all the supplements. And I felt better, but I was choking because it was literally 15 capsules a day of stuff. And there was also a lot of glandulars, like animal glandulars, and I wasn't necessarily interested in that. I went to my mentor, Dr. Robert Marshall at PRL, and I said, this is ridiculous. I said, we need to be able to get this down to 4 caps at the most. So let's muscle test. We used muscle testing, kinesiology, to find out which ones were the most powerful ingredients that were doing the effect on a lot of people, and we combined those. So we ended up with Adrenal Forte, which is cordyceps, rhodiola, ashwagandha, panax, ginseng, and Siberian ginseng, and then thyroid stimulators, which is tyrosine, iodine, and B5, because anyone who has an adrenal problem automatically has thyroid symptoms, whether they measure out of range or not. So those are the 3. And what I normally do is I take every day the magnesium, 1 only for me, because I've managed to slow my nervous system down through other mechanisms. And I take essentials 1 for the same reason. I'm not burning through as much B vitamins and zinc as before. And I take 2 adrenal fortes. So that is my regimen. I feel good with that. And it's kind of funny, like I fall off the wagon all the time because I'm not like somebody who's like all focused on every single step of health. I like to live my life and let things flow. But sometimes I'm like, why am I feeling so lousy? And I'm like, oh yeah, I should be taking this supplement. So it's kind of funny. Like that's all of us. And, that happens.
Yeah, it is all of us. And I appreciate you saying that because even someone like you who is, doing all the right things and literally living in the blue zone and has created the supplements, you're still like, oh wait, I forgot to take my supplement, or I didn't take it and now I need it. And what's funny is when you were saying Adrenal Forte, I'm like, wait, that sounds familiar. I've totally taken that before. So I have gone to, a practitioner who does muscle testing and all those things. And I had 100% at one time in my adrenal burnout. I have hypothyroidism, and so that's been a cause. And then obviously perimenopause and menopause hit, and literally everything just hit the fan. So anyway, I have taken that supplement before, and it helped very much. And I'm curious to know, since you created the supplement lines, do you believe in like cycling supplements, or do you think like you take a supplement, you should be on it all the time?
Yeah, I feel that first of all, supplements are only supplements. They're complementary to our lifestyle choices and slowing down the nervous system and those kind of things. And I do not believe that you have to take every supplement every single day. I think that there are days, and I use a lot of my own kinesiology. Actually, I wish I could show you with the camera these supplements, but I don't take every single one every single day. I follow my intuition, just like I do with my food. Like, this whole thing about there's only one diet for every single human being, male and female, every age, every part of the month. No, there's something called intuition. Let's activate the intuition. And I don't believe in every single day, every single supplement. And I don't even believe really that supplements are the height of what we need. But after doing thousands of tests and realizing that even with a healthy diet, University of Texas has revealed you need to eat 8 oranges today to get what you got in the 1980s from one
I
orange,
know.
because our
Right.
soil, according to the USDA, has gone down so much. So, yes, we do need a supplement, but it's not the whole picture, and nor is it to be that stressful, because the more stress we add about our wellness program, I can't tell you how many people do wellness programs and they're all stressed out by it.
Yeah.
I forgot to do my exercise. Let it flow.
Exactly.
Let it go.
Right.
Let it
Yeah.
flow. Like, if your life flows, that's your best wellness program.
Yeah. Wow. That is perfect advice. If your life flows, that is your best wellness program. Well, Dr. Patty, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I so much enjoyed our conversation. I feel like I have learned so much
Thank you.
about you and just about my own body in general. And this was such a great reminder for me to just always remember to tap into that intuition. And, you know, it is when we are out in nature or going for a walk, or when we're in those quiet moments that we get the downloads that are really our best teacher and guiding light for us as far as what we should be doing for our own bodies and our own health. So thank you so much for that reminder. And I want to make sure that all of my listeners can find you. So can you tell us where they can find out more information about you and your practice
Yes.
and the medicine and the supplements?
Yes, yes. Well, first of all, I don't want to forget to thank you for being a suburban warrior and being a warrior, because we have
Thank
to be
you.
warriors in order for us to take back our sovereignty. And
Yes.
so I have a channel on Instagram called Take My Power Back. Take My
Love
Power
it.
Back, not your
Yeah.
underscore initiative. It's called Take My Power Back. And I share all the tips and tools, the sun, the science behind it, the water, what it does, how you breathe, all that kind of stuff.
Love it.
And I'm about to put protocols on there that people can do on their own.
Okay.
Then the next place is mdprescriptives.com,
Okay.
which is the supplement line and has some information on it. And I practice at Glow Spring Health, which is in Orlando, Florida. I do telemedicine. And my goal is always to empower people within 90 days to not need to see us.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
idea.
wonderful.
Like, okay, can we impart some tools? How fast can you learn these tools? Because the quicker we learn to regulate the nervous system, like I like to use heart math to regulate the nervous system. That's one technique. The quicker you don't need anybody to hold your hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. The power is within you, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. We will make sure to link all that information in the show notes so everybody can find you. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing today. Thank you for your being here, for your time. And guys, thank you for listening to the podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please drop us a comment. Let us know what you think. And I'm sure that you are thinking of a friend right now that you think can benefit from this conversation. So go ahead and share this podcast episode with her right now, because this is how we spread the word. This is how we build community. So please share this episode with a friend. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Suburban Warrior. You can find me also on YouTube and TikTok. And I'll be back next week with another amazing Suburban Warrior here to share her story with you. Until next time, have a great week, guys.